Hello. Welcome to a very special edition of our normal recordings. So every Friday at 3:30, we run something called UTS Startups Confessions, and people turn up. As you can see in the stream, say hello, everyone back in Sydney. Very polite waves. Thank you very much. But we're doing something different this week. A very special announcement in a very special place. And so you're going to see why we're up here as well. But thank you for indulging us and letting us interrupt the normal scheduling. Siobhan, welcome. And can you tell us where we are, please?
We're in Newcastle, New South Wales, not the UK. But we'll explain why in a second.
Okay, beautiful. I'm just going to say quickly, so under the UTS Startups banner, for the last 4 years, we've been running experiments on what can you expose people to and how does that convert into new entrepreneurship. So thousands of students each year in different kinds of workshops, and they're getting quite good, I think, at creating new entrepreneurs. But for the entire time, I've thought that isn't something we should limit to people that can attend a university. It needs to go further. So 6 months ago, we launched something called UTS Startups at School, which is taking everything we learned doing that inside the university and making it available free of charge to go out to schools and deliver adapted programming there, so that we can get to younger audiences, year 9 and 10, pre-subject selection, and show them what they can be as tech entrepreneurs. And I'll say this quickly, Sam Horden, AJ Bardia, and Key Wong, through their philanthropic support, made that possible. So thank you very much if you're watching, guys. Round of applause, please. I'll say, so we started in April. We've gone to 22 schools so far, 1,400 year 9 and 10 students that we've addressed. We asked them all, how do you feel about yourself as a tech entrepreneur at the start? About 5% of people have been saying, I want to do something as a tech entrepreneur. By the time we're finished, that's on average going to 30% of those students. That's awesome. It's going okay. So kudos to Aaron Nang, if you're watching. You're doing incredible work in leading that program there. And for the maths wizards in the room, that's 350 people so far in the first 6 months that for the first time have said, I want to do something as a tech entrepreneur. So that's wonderful. I will say, though, it's been working okay in the kind of scope that we have, but it feels kind of silly to limit it to the catchment of UTS. So, Siobhan, what are we doing?
So I guess the really cool thing about universities is that when we all have the same sort of challenges. And so when one university comes up with a solution, it makes sense to roll it out across other universities. And the Newcastle startup ecosystem has really come on in leaps and bounds, particularly in the last couple of years. And there's a distinct need, I think, in today's world to be able to provide opportunities to students to have them consider an entrepreneurship pathway that they probably wouldn't have otherwise considered. And so I'm really pleased to say that the University of Newcastle will be matching the commitment of UTS with the Startups at Schools program. We're going to be going to 50 schools each year, and we're looking at how we might be able to access schools within the Central Coast, Port Stephens, Lower, Upper Hunter and Newcastle region more broadly. Yay. And we want to be able to expose them to the technology entrepreneurs within our region. We know there are so many of them and they're all, champing at the bit to be able to connect with these young people and tell them their story about how they became a tech entrepreneur. So between us, we're going to be reaching 100 schools. That's 20,000 year 9 and year 10 students in total each year, and giving them the chance to be what they would otherwise not be able to see. And we're working together to expand. So working together rather to expand that really just made sense. It's working at UTS with the amazing pilot, thanks to your philanthropic donors. And so with being able to leverage that and expand it into our region just made total sense. And we've got really great existing relationships with schools within our region, and we can build programming here. And that has a chance to endure and show a long-term impact in a way that might not otherwise happen in other organisations. So unis are pretty cool in that way, I think. Yeah. And it's great for us to be able to deliver that, not just within the Newcastle ecosystem, but more broadly across the community.
I do love that. I love inside unis, you can start things and they don't just disappear straight away. So you can actually build things that work. I like that you got goosebumps at the same time I got goosebumps. Because it's goosebump worthy. There's no kind of more wonderful feeling than seeing a room full of people that sit back in their chair at the start, and then towards the end they start to lean forward and get excited about things, and especially for the disengaged kids. It means a lot. I need to do a couple of quick acknowledgements of the people that have made it possible. Obviously, the philanthropic supporters, Sam Horden, AJ Bhatia and Ki Wong, for getting us started, and now New South Wales Government. So through the Innovation and Collaboration Fund, we receive funding to tackle this together. So that allows us to tackle it for the next 2 years. So that's 20,000 students per year for the next 2 years, 40,000 in total. And imagine, like, if we can maintain that kind of increase of 5% to 30% across 20,000 people, I think you're going to notice. And I'm excited. I'm particularly excited myself to be able to work with yourself. I've admired your work for years, and yourself as a professional. So it's just nice to have this excuse as well, and more trips to Newcastle.
Well, the feeling is mutual, Murray. We're delighted to be able to have you up in Newcastle and share what is an awesome ecosystem here. And yeah, we're long-time admirers of what happens down at UTS as well. And we're just delighted to be able to collaborate together on this awesome opportunity. So we're going to throw to audience questions in a second, but I just wanted to reiterate what we're talking about here today. So UTS Startups at School are going to engage with 50 schools a year with trained entrepreneurs to increase their desire to think about becoming a tech entrepreneur themselves, or possibly even working at a tech startup. And University of Newcastle Startups at School is also going to tap into 50 schools a year as well. And we're going to be working together to tweak the programming so that we can try and dial up that conversion rate as much as we possibly can over that 2-year period that we've been funded for to date. And I think it would be really wonderful to see this kind of programming adopted at other universities as well. So if you are another entrepreneurship facilitator at a university and you want to know more about how you could get engaged, please hit us up and we'll figure out a way how. And that if you're a teacher or someone who works at a secondary school in particular, or know someone that does, or a kid that studies at school, some career advisors, please reach out to us as well. We'd love to collect your details so that we can reconnect with you and make it happen. Book in a free presentation by a tech entrepreneur at your school. So thank you again to the New South Wales Government for their support of this program. We're super pumped to be able to deliver it. And I'm super excited about the whole opportunity.
We're coming for you, kids. Probably not a good note to end on. It's for the teachers out there that are watching this, or people that know teachers. I think there's an extra important point that is, this is not asking you to do anything. This is not additional development or things you need to deliver. It is, we come out, it's free of charge. We do the work with entrepreneurs that are local entrepreneurs. So it's not, here's Mark Zuckerberg or things that are kind of ridiculous to aspire to. Here is someone close to you, like you, with your background, doing something you can do. And that's where I think universities become really interesting as a way to make that happen, because you're surrounded by entrepreneurs here and you're giving them a lot of support. It's nice to be able to ask for a couple of things in return, and they can help the next generation.
Yeah, I think the entrepreneurs are super excited to be able to have the opportunity to get trained up to speak in really plain, simple language about what it is that they actually do. Because if they can explain it to someone in year 9 and 10, they can pretty much explain it to anybody. And so it's really good public speaking experience for them as well. And so it's kind of a win-win all round, really.
Yeah, there's no harder audience.
This is true.
Okay, we're going to throw to some questions. I'll bring Sydney up on screen. And we have the room here as well, but we also have our own questions just in case anyone doesn't jump in, but feel free to raise your hand. Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
So what do you need? Parents of children in year 9? So are you after introductions to, is your target, do you want a science teacher? Do you want like a careers advisor? Do you want us to work out with the school what's the best input point with they'll know, and then we'll just... What's the best?
Yeah, I think any warm introductions to either the teachers or the career advisors at your school would be great. We've got a list and contact general contact emails. In some cases, we have really good direct connections to schools already because, we try to encourage students in high school locally to come and study at the University of Newcastle. But nothing beats a warm introduction. Every entrepreneur knows that. And so if there's someone directly who please let us, if you can warm intro us, that would be fantastic, and we can take the conversation from there.
Anything is good. And we're finding if we address a school once, they stay quite engaged. So think of it that way as well. So one referral to the program will kind of stick, I think. So it's a very productive way to get things started. Any questions down from Sydney?
Murray and Siobhan, thank you so much. Of course, we always have questions, Murray, relating to life in general. But anyone here, I reckon Ujan got something boiling. I'm just going to pick on you because you're sitting there, but go ahead.
In terms of getting the entrepreneurs at UTS startups and in Newcastle involved, what's the sort of process involved in that process, in getting them engaged, essentially?
Okay, so I think the thing that I think is going to resonate most with entrepreneurs is there is training in presentation skills as part of this as well. So for anyone, I think the most important skill for any entrepreneur is how to be convincing in how you talk about what you're doing for customers, partners, everyone else. So to get that kind of training and then have difficult audiences to present to that are kind of low stakes audiences, you can mess it up in a school, it's not the end of the world. And give back, go back to your own high school maybe and help inspire the next generation. So I think that sequence of things, but the how to get engaged is talk to our community or your community and say, I want to go and talk to a school. Otherwise, we'll tap you on the shoulder.
We will definitely be tapping you on the shoulder.
But wonderful question. Thank you.
Hey, Murray, we've got a few more as well here, but one of the questions I hear a lot when we talk about this program is there a certain kind of school that we are targeting or a certain type of audience that we want to prioritise when it comes to high school students?
I feel like good ideas can come from anyone, and that, you have this question about, is entrepreneurship, are you born with it, or, is it a skill you can master? I'm of the school that it's a skill that you can master. And so I feel like if you could, a lot of kids will probably have founders in their family or friendship circle that they don't recognise as entrepreneurs. And so I even think exposing them to the concept of the word entrepreneurship or founders or tech-enabled entrepreneurship is, and sort of bridging that gap is really useful. And that students, particularly young students, like high school students, they're seeing the problems of the world that we can't recognise as older people. And if we, I think, enable them to see examples of other people that have taken a similar, like that kind of path to solve for problems that are meaningful to them, that it's just the spark, I think, that's needed to see themselves in that role. And so I don't think it matters what school they're at all. We've got some great examples of local startup founders that have come from all walks of life, all geographic and socioeconomic backgrounds here in Newcastle and the Hunter region, and have gone on to have great success being a tech-enabled entrepreneur.
And I'll add to that if I can. I love the schools where it's low SES, kind of they don't have an entrepreneurial program, or they have other things that they're worried about. All female-focused schools are wonderful too. The fact that we have the resourcing to go and choose the schools allows us to then say these are the schools that would benefit most, rather than just here's the schools with entrepreneurial programs that are already engaged with universities.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, I do too, actually. That's a really great point because, there is a bit of disparity between the resources available at some schools where some are very well resourced and others less so and have their own challenges. So for teachers to know that all you need to do is let us know when to come and we come in and do all the work for you, knowing how resource constrained they are and what a stressful job it is that they actually have on a day-to-day basis. I'm hoping that they see this as an opportunity to be able to sit back at the back of the classroom for a half an hour and take a breather while we take over the reins and have our entrepreneurs present to the students and hopefully inspire them as well.
get some inspiration themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
There might be some teachers out there that we see as tech entrepreneurs in the future.
Yes, please don't leave teaching.
No.
Yes.
Julie.
So with my mum having, and I'll send an email to high school, what should be in that email? And have you got any resources that I can just go, oh, great, that is there.
I think the link in the bottom of this video would be the best thing to send. But even if you just say search for startups at school in Google, I'm pretty sure our SEO is okay. If not, it will be very soon. And all of this direct introductions to ourselves, and we'll take care of it. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else from Sydney?
Yeah, loads of questions. Hey, Nicola, our wonderful community manager, has been asking me to put her on. So here you go.
Hey, Murray and Siobhan. Huge fans of both of your programs. Super excited about this announcement. I have a question in relation to, with us and Newcastle showing students at high school that they can too be entrepreneurs, what do you think that has implications for with the future of universities, with people like Zuckerberg being an entrepreneur who's also a university dropout? What do you think of that?
Spicy question.
Nice, easy one, thanks.
Well, in fact, I kind of consider the work, I can't speak on behalf of UTS startups, but certainly the work that we do at the I2N, where you don't have to be affiliated with the university to actually participate within our programs. We service the entire community in the hopes that perhaps, there could be some domain expertise that you can draw on that gives back to our students who are studying degrees, who may not have an interest in entrepreneurship, and that's okay. But also that we see a lot of students who go through coming to university to study a particular degree, and oftentimes at Open Day, for example, we'll be there with our little stand talking about entrepreneurships and startups, and they're like, why would we care about that? I'm just here to do my mechatronics degree. I'm not interested in that. But things change over time, right? And so they might go on to do their degree or not, and go out and get industry experience, but then they want to come back when they've seen a problem that they think they might be able to develop a solution around and get help. And that's what we're able to do. So I'm not too fussed if they complete the degree or not. And in fact, we're not too fussed whether they're at the university or not. Like, we're a university of our regions on the Central Coast and in the Newcastle area. And we joke about the 2 degrees of separation in Newcastle, like everyone knows everybody. And so it's likely that if you come to us, one of your co-founders was probably a graduate at the University of Newcastle anyway. So we're a little bit different up here, I guess, in that way. I'm not sure if it's a different story for you guys.
A little bit,
UTS.
but I think it ends up being the same problem to solve. That, like, think of 50 years from now, what is the relevance of a university? They can make job-ready graduates, but other people can kind of do that or say they do that. They are great at creating new knowledge in the research that they produce. But what if they were also good at creating new entrepreneurs that create new jobs and disseminate research and new ways of doing things to the world? Then suddenly you look at universities and go, yeah, of course we need that in this area. It's supporting the community. The community exists because of the great work inside the uni. And I have a job because of this startup that I was able to start in the university, or that I joined in the university, or that I learned from while I was in the university as well. So I think that's a kind of relevance of universities thing. But thank you, Nicola.
Yeah,
beautiful. We've got a question here from Corey, who's a brand new member of our community as well. So, and he's doing something sort of focused on high school age kids, right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave. So my startup is around, robotics education with school kids. So it's, the exact, I suppose, audience that we're targeting to look at entrepreneurship and leveraging those skills. I think very similar to what you just said, Murray, whether they end up going through to university with those skills or not, I think it'd be really awesome to see if there's opportunities for those students to be, I suppose, a bit of a gateway into the startup community and seeing how we can use this as a bit of an ongoing relationship with them. Is that something that you guys would be interested in looking at?
Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
That's actually a really important point about this programming that I don't think we brought up. We don't want to do entrepreneurial education. We want to change people's desire to be entrepreneurs. And then that kind of solves a lot of other problems along the way, because you end up with more motivated learners. who then we can refer into other programs. And there's a lot of entrepreneurial programming that's doing really good work around Australia, and to drive demand for that would be wonderful, to drive demand for different STEM programs, robotics programs, by framing it as, in addition to the wonderful work being already done, here is someone using robotics to do physiotherapy for their grandmother, or some other wonderful story that makes you think, okay, I want to do something in robotics and I want to do something entrepreneurial. I think there's logical outcomes that would then result in more people working with your programming as well. Wonderful question. Anything from Newcastle side? No, I think we're getting close to being done. Maybe one more.
Yeah, we do have one more important question coming from Sydney here, Siobhan especially. Which is better, Newcastle or Sydney?
Let me think about that.
Pros and cons.
The audience have spoken. Look, as someone who grew up in Sydney and moved to Newcastle, I can hand on heart say that Newcastle is better than Sydney. The only thing we're missing is really excellent yum cha. And I used to say IKEA as well, but I feel like now 10 years or 12 years on from moving from Sydney, I don't need IKEA anymore either. So anyone who wants to open up a Marigold or something like that in Newcastle, you'd kill it basically. But yeah, Newcastle's fantastic. And if you haven't done the 2-hour train ride up to Newy and checked out our beaches, checked out our amazing harbour, the lifestyle, the food, the restaurants, the live music, our beautiful Q building here where we host I2N Hub Honeysuckle in our co-working space. We've got free co-working on the ground floor as well.
This building is amazing.
Yeah, so it's Regional New South Wales' first 6-star Green Star rated building. It's got sage glass windows that tint like transition lenses for thermal control. We've got PVs on the roof. We've got really flexible event spaces. Like I said, a fantastic free co-working on the ground floor, as well as awesome coffee. And lots of events and ways to get engaged. So I would highly recommend timing a trip to Newcastle to coincide with an I2N event and a weekend up here as well, if you haven't been here before. I'm going to shut up now, talking about how awesome Newcastle is.
I love it. But search for I2N. And there's a calendar of events and other things, newsletter that you can join.
Yep.
And I can't disagree with that as an answer. I'll stay up here. You guys, good luck back in Sydney, but thank you very much for joining us. We'll wrap up there. And again, as a call to action, if you are in a school and would like someone to come out and do entrepreneurial things with your 9 and 10 students to encourage their entrepreneurship, just look for the link in the description below, and that'll be the best way to kind of get things scheduled. Thank you, Sam Horden, AJ Bhatia, and Ki Wong, and thank you, most of all, New South Wales Government for getting fully behind this and turning it into something that I think is going to be really, really incredible.
And thank you, Murray, for coming up to Newcastle and spending that time on the beautiful. We actually,
really nice.
the train's got a nickname. I don't know if I can say this, but you know the Shinkansen in Japan, the bullet train. Well, ours isn't the Shinkansen, it's the SHI Kansen, because it's not as fast, but it's beautiful scenery. It's spotty Wi-Fi, but it'll get you here in 2.5 hours. So thank you for making the trip. I really appreciate it.
No, highly recommended. Okay, on that note, thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Back to normal programming next week. Bye.
See you guys.